There we are. Good morning, everybody. I'm Paul Romero. This is the Sella House. I'm sorry, it's not the Sella House. It's the Swiss Gold Global Independent Business Owner Network Marketing Training. We're on number 113 today on this Friday, March 20th, 2015. 10 days away, and the first quarter is almost over. I don't know about you, but mine hasn't been very good. I'm not quite sure what's going on so far this year, but things just haven't come to fruition as anticipated. But you know what? That's the way things happen sometimes. You can make the best plans that there are to make, best plan known to man, and the universe can tell you that it's not going to work when you want it to work. It's just not happening on your schedule. Okay, we're just not that smart. We don't know exactly when things are going to happen. We can set a goal, and we can do our work, and we can work to achieve that goal within a specific time frame, but it ain't always going to happen. That's just the way it is. It doesn't always happen. You have to expect that it will happen, and if it doesn't happen, then what you have to do is look at the reasons why it didn't happen. And you'll always find the answers to your questions within the circumstance. In other words, the reason, when you look back at the reason why this didn't happen within this specific time frame, you look back upon that and you'll probably find that there are certain things that you did not do. And I can tell you one thing right now, guaranteed, what 100%, it will always come back around to you and what you did or did not do. And that's where you'll find your answers. So the whole idea about, excuse me, really dry this morning. The whole idea about taking responsibility for your actions is all wrapped into understanding that, hey, this didn't happen on my time frame. It's not from I want to say that I want to say that it's not from the actions that I did or didn't do. And I also want to say that it's not from the things that I did or did not think. It's really a combination of the both, because your actions are generated out of the way you think and what you think. So when you put the two together, how was my thinking during this process? Was I thinking along the right lines of, yes, accumulating this or getting this or acquiring this or achieving this, whatever this goal is? Was that your number one focus, your number one thought the entire time between when you decided to set this goal until the deadline with which you set? You'll probably find, thinking back, that no, it wasn't. It probably didn't happen near enough, you thinking about achieving the success of that goal. And therefore, those thoughts did not produce the actions that were required, which did not, bring into fruition the result that you were looking for. So are you going to put the blame on yourself? Yes. For the actions that you took? No. For the actions that you took or did not take? No. I mean, yes and no. You didn't take them, but the blame really lies in why you didn't take them, because you weren't thinking the right way. So I just wanted to kind of put that out there, that it really comes all back around to you yourself and the way that you're thinking about it. And are you holding your desire, your chief aim, at the highest level of your thought process 100% of the time, thinking, this is what I want to achieve. This is what I want to do. This is what I want, whatever it is. Sorry, think of my anyway. So are you doing that? Are you holding it in your mind like 95% of the time? And the other 5% of the time, you're just thinking about, the things you got to take care of. Because that's the only way that you actually will get what you want, at least close to when you expect to get it. Now, when you don't get it, like I said, you have to, go back and examine why. And then once you figure out why, obviously, you need to reset a new plan. Most people, when they don't get it, they just give up. That's it. This doesn't work. I'll never have that. It's not for me. It's not. I'm not good enough. Whatever the thing is, they'll blame, complain, and justify their circumstances to why these things didn't happen, and off they go onto something else. If it's something that you really wanted, why would you abandon it and go on to something else? Stick with it. You have to stick with things. If you don't stick with things, you'll never end up with anything. Now, one of the things that I wanted to talk today about is books. There's a lot of great information in books. And you know what? Most people today hardly read anything. Guilty. Guilty is charged for 40, no, let's see here, 30 years of my life. Actually, probably a little bit more than that, because quite frankly, even in school, I didn't want to read the books. My problem was I felt that I was a slow reader. I didn't feel like I could read fast enough to keep up with the other people and with the progression that the classes were going through. Especially the English class. That was a tough one. That was the toughest one for me, because that, getting into reading those books was a lot all about words. Now, math, for some reason, math class for me gelled a little bit, because math, maybe it's the drawings, the equations, and the numbers and all that. And but hey, I'm a guy, and guys generally have a little bit more of that sort of analytical, deciphering, wanting to solve problems mentality to begin with, whereas gals, for the most part, feel more towards their emotions and how things make them feel. Guys like to see results, see that 1 + 1 does equal 2, and for gals, 1 + 1 = 2, big deal. What is that? How does that make me feel? Doesn't make me feel at all. But when I read this book, hey, that makes me feel emotions inside of me that, guys don't generally lean towards that whole thing about how do things make me feel. They either make me feel good or they make me feel bad. That's pretty much bottom line, one or the two. And they either make me feel right or they make me feel wrong. And we always want to feel right and good. And that's pretty much about it for us. But there's the information in books, as I was getting to, man, is very powerful stuff. A lot of books out there that have been around for years, lots and lots and lots of years, since the early 1900s, 100 years. Books that have been around for 100 years. Books even that have been around longer than that. The Bible, for one, been around for a really long time, is actually a very good book. I think Jesus Christ was probably the very first inspirational motivation speaker. Maybe not the very first, but the first one, of Christianity and all that. So it all comes down to that. It all comes down to the inner game and the way you think. And the way you think comes from, the way you were raised, the things you were taught, what you learned, how you learned them, who you listened to, where this information came from. All of those things that you had no control over, that were put into you, into your mind, into your thought processes, and made you who you are today, and how you think about things, and how you look at things, and how you view things, and also have brought you to the levels of success that you may or may not have in your life because of those exact factors. But you don't have to settle for any of that. You can have anything you want, any way you want. You can be anyone you want. All you have to do is go after it. And one good, strong way to go after it is books. Information from the self-help section of the bookstore. Start looking at some of the classics, I would suggest, as well as some of the newer stuff. You'll probably find, which I have, is through reading a number of these books, the core message is pretty much the same throughout. And it's a different person's spin or a different person's taking of a specific element and expanding upon one specific element. But the core message really boils down to kind of the same thing each and every time. I was this weekend, I listened to on YouTube. God, I got a tickle in my nose today. I listened on YouTube, and I don't suggest, because multitasking really is, people say it's the way to go. You have to be a multitasker. You got to be able to do two things at once. I disagree with that 100%. You have to be able to not do two things at once. You have to be able to not multitask. You have to be able to focus upon one thing at a time. Because when you do two things at once, you get two things half done. You don't finish. Multitasking is a way to create non-finishers. And if you want to be successful in this world, you have to be a finisher. So if you focus on one thing at a time, from start to finish, and move on to the next, well, hey, you multitask, you got two things half-assed done. When you focus, you completed one thing, and you can move on to the next. Completion is where success lies, not in doing. You know, doing busy work is what multitasking creates, because you end up doing a lot of stuff that doesn't accomplish anything. Doing one thing at a time, putting your focus on one thing at a time, which is why I was gonna, I almost said, you know, you can put an audio book basically off of YouTube or something like that on your computer in the background while you're doing something else. And you can do that just to have the message coming into your mind. But if you're doing that, your objective can't really be to focus upon what's coming out of that, because your focus needs to be upon what you're doing so that you can complete and finish what you're doing. So when it comes to audiobooks and YouTube videos and things like that that are out there that you can listen to some of these books and do that sort of thing, I suggest you block out some time, or you put on your headphones and sit back and close your eyes, you know, whatever it is, watch the video if it's entertaining, but focus specifically upon that, just like you would if you were reading a book, a physical book. You know, if you pick up this book right here and you start reading it, you can't be doing two things at once, because your hands are occupied with this book. Your hands can't be doing something else. Your eyes are focused upon the pages and the words. Your eyes can't be wandering around doing something else. Your mind is looking at the words and processing the words into your brain, so your mind doesn't have the opportunity to wander into something else. That's why physical books are so powerful, because they capture your attention and they direct your focus upon the material within the book. Audiobooks are great. YouTube video books are great. However you get, you know, books otherwise, they're great. But you have a tendency, they give you a tendency to not focus upon the material, to use it in the background as a multitasking thing. Oh, I can do this while I'm listening to this book, and it can't be done. It doesn't work that way. The mind can only do one thing at a time. And so what you're doing there is you're having a distraction, and you're flipping back and forth a little bit, you know, a few seconds on this, few seconds on that, minute on here, 30 seconds over there. and you're only gathering bits and pieces. You're not gathering the whole story. You're only completing bits and pieces. You're not completing the whole project. So I am a big proponent against multitasking. I think multitasking is designed as a way to make you more inefficient, not efficient. Focus upon one thing at a time and focus upon it until its completion. So I was looking for, when I went to YouTube, I was looking for the book Napoleon Hill, by Napoleon Hill, The Laws of Success in 16 Lessons. And the reason why I was looking for it is because I went to the bookstore where I saw a copy of it not too long ago and didn't buy it, bought a different book instead. I was wanting to buy it, but something else caught my attention that I really wanted to buy, and that was Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People, another book from way back when in the 20s or 30s, whenever he wrote that book. Another great book, though. Fantastic information on how to develop a pleasing personality. It's great. But anyway, I was looking for The Laws of Success in 16 Lessons, and I did find it. But the first page that I came to, there was scrolling down quite a bit because I was looking. I know that there's a place you can find where there's each lesson is broken down into an individual lesson, which I believe might be about an hour long each. I'm not quite sure, but I found sort of a few oddball things. When I clicked onto one of them, and it led me to another page, obviously, another video with more videos down the side. That's how YouTube works. They want to keep you hooked. Hey, you're looking at this, but look at these. Just, multitasking. But I saw another book of his that he never actually wrote and published. He did write it, obviously. He put out I don't know if he wrote the actual book or just had the manuscripts. I'm not real quite know the details of all that, but he did write the material, but he never published it because he felt that it probably would not bode well on his career at the time and would offend and alienate a lot of seriously powerful people that would hinder his work in creating success education. Basically is what Napoleon Hill is all about, is success education. So he wrote this, and it was recreated here out of his manuscripts and written. I believe Sharon Lecter is the woman who maybe put this whole thing together, or at least played a huge role in its creation. I'm not sure if Greg Reed played a role in that or not. They're both members of the Napoleon Hill Foundation, but the book is called Outwitting the Devil. And what I found on YouTube, I don't know if it's the whole book or anything. I think that it's not. I think there's a main section of the book, which is an interview with the devil, so to speak. It is sort of Napoleon Hill interviewing the devil. And this is what the video was. It was posted by, I want to say, Glenda Mead. This one section is done very well. They have a little kind of a synthesizing of the devil's voice, so it kind of has that, sort of an eerie little, vibration behind it, which is kind of cool. It's real slight, it's real subtle. It's not, crazy, but it goes through this whole interview out of the book, and it's, you can listen to it live, and it's very, very interesting information. And that's kind of one of the messages in the book, is that a lot of the information that we get is convoluted and distorted. And that's what I was talking about in the very beginning, that, how we think about things is all comes from the information that we've gotten throughout our lives. And if it's convoluted and distorted, what have we been getting? Have we been getting the truth? And what do we believe now? Do we understand and know what the truth is? And do we believe the truth? And do we even care what the truth is? And the funny thing is another sort of mentor of mine. I've got some audios of him, a program that I gathered up. One of the things that he talks about in there is seeking the truth. And I didn't really get that at first. And it's taken me, the reading of a few books and those sorts of things, and listening to some audio tapes and whatnot. And I understand now what he was talking about, seeking the truth. We don't have any idea what the truth is. All the information that we've gotten over the years is convoluted. It's manipulated. It's somebody's opinion. It's there's facts in there, but they're distorted. They're from someone else's point of view. And it's up to us to discern what really is the truth within all of this information. And that's where it gets tricky, because we're not used to doing that. We're used to just accepting, because that's what we're trained to do as we grow up throughout school and everything else. We're just trained to accept information and exchange it for credit. And as we get out into real life, exchange it for monetary, for money. But we're never taught about actual money and what is money and how money really works. We're just taught all of our lives in school all these facts. Here, take in all these facts that really aren't facts. They're just somebody else's opinion. I mean, seriously, think about a war, okay? Who wrote the story about the war? The winner. Is the winner going to be the good guy or the bad guy? The winner's always going to be the good guy. If they're writing the story about the war that they were the winner, were they indeed in actuality the good guy at the time when the war started? Before the war, were they actually the good guys, or were they the bad guys? That's where does the truth really lie in that? You have to go back in history somehow and talk to the losers. Find who the losers were and talk to the losers and figure out what was going on prior to, and really figure out who is the bad guy. Now, that's obviously something that we're not going to spend our time doing, but you see my point about the information. What you learned about that war are, quote, the facts. But are they? Anyway, I'm out of time here today. I just wanted to get the whole idea in your mind that what you think, how you think, is everything. And is what you're thinking now and how you're thinking now, is it the correct way to be thinking? Do you have the right information? Should you be seeking new information and possibly exchanging some of what you have with something new that you might find? And that books are a great place for that to happen. So with that, everybody, we'll see you back here on New Op Day, where we'll be back into Own Your Life. And I want to apologize. I want to end this by saying we missed the open mastermind yesterday at 4:30 because of a real estate issue that we were dealing with. Took our time, so 4:30 in the afternoon on a Thursday just isn't a good time. This is the second time we've missed it in a month and a half because of issues from something else. So we're changing it again. The open mastermind is now going to be held at 8 p.m. on Thursdays. All right, Thursdays 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, USA. Hopefully we'll start seeing you people there, because obviously the times haven't worked for anybody, including us. So 8 p.m. Thursdays, the open mastermind, business open mastermind. Come talk about anything business. And with that, I'm going to end as we always do with the Napoleon Hill prayer. Just great information in the Napoleon Hill books. I could give you a list of all kinds of books today, but O universe, I ask not for more riches, but for more wisdom, with which to make better use of the riches given to me at birth, consisting of the power to control and direct my own mind to whatever end I might desire. Go out today, treat yourself to the purchase of a new book.